glasses. Give them to me. That's right.
Terminator.
Alright, everybody. Let's talk about this awesome movie. Are the lights shining on my glasses? Yeah, I have to wear shades. It's almost iconic. It's like the Terminator's hockey mask. It's like Jason's hockey mask. You gotta have shades on Arnold now. That's his outfit, man. The leather jacket. Everything about this movie is iconic. You got Michael Biehn. You got Linda Hamilton. You got freaking Lance Henriksen. You got Dick Miller. Holy crap. Let's talk about this awesome movie. This movie is written and directed by James Cameron. Boy, has this guy have had a great career. Titanic, Avatar, he even wrote Rambo Part 2. I feel like this movie will be remembered forever, and there's so many great things about it. Like, I have, nothing bad to say about this movie. The only thing I could say is that, yes, the story is a bit convoluted. There's a con. It's very hard to wrap your brain around the whole, this person's the father, but how the fuck's that possible? He wasn't around here. He had to go back in time to make somebody who already technically existed. I like to think that maybe he wasn't the original father, Michael Biehn's character, Kyle Reese. Maybe Kyle Reese wasn't the original dad, but then he came back, impregnated her, and made a new John Connor 2.0, and then that one still kind of grew up to be the same person to take down Skynet. That could be a theory. This is one of those movies that's up for debate. You can kind of just debate shit. Just like the Joker movie I just saw. But the positives for this movie, first up, the special effects by Stan Winston, they're even more amazing in Part 2, and we'll get to that. But this movie has great special effects and great set designs. The future, it's 2029. What is it, 10 years from now? 10 years from now, it's gonna, according to this movie, be a very shitty hellhole on Earth. But just the way the future looks and how macabre and ugly and miserable it looks, you feel it. You're like, oh my god, why would anyone want to be living? You got kids watching fire on television, the TV screen's broken out, they just have a lit fire inside and they're just watching it. Who wants to live through that? It's just awful. But the score to this movie is iconic, it's classic. Dum 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 dun 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 dun. Almost as iconic as the Michael Myers theme song or Jaws. It's up there for one of the best scores ever. It really just gets you going. When you hear that music, you know what you're in for. Some people might say that the special effects, especially on Arnold's face when he's taking out that eye, age or looks bad. Yeah, but at the time, that's amazing. This is 1985. So at the time, that looked great. Just the things that they were able to do, the robot, even the skeleton of the robot, that's iconic now. I don't know what people thought robots looked like before, but when I imagine robots, I imagine the skeleton version with the red eyes, the teeth, the whole skull thing. Looks awesome. I think another awesome thing about this movie is just how original it is, and just the story of a guy who has to go back in time to stop another guy who went back in time, a robot, to kill someone who's going to give birth to someone who's going to take down Skynet. And this movie's still relevant to today. This movie could have been made today and it still would have the same impact, the same effect, because it's so, technology, the way it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. You have to ask that question, when's it going to get too big? And when's it going to start, fighting back? When's it going to get too smart and try to wipe us out? We got Child's Play 2019 that just came out. Same thing. That's basically what that movie was. It was a 2-foot-tall Terminator that saw everybody as a threat and took them out. It's still a topic of discussion today, 30 years later. So, love the originality of this story. I love the performances. Kyle Reese, played by Michael Biehn, sometimes he felt a little off, but overall I think there's some pretty great performances in here. All the characters are great too. Every character is memorable. Even background characters or just side characters. The two cops, the one who's always smoking, and then he's like, "Give me a cigarette," and he's like, he already has one in his hand. He kind of forgets about it.
Give me a cigarette.
Lance Henriksen, he's always trying to tell a story or say something, but then he gets cut off. You got Bill Paxton here as a punk. This is before Bill Paxton was a big star. There's just so many great people in here. It's such a iconic classic. It's also just masterfully directed by James Cameron. It's every scene is needed. It's a great pace. You're never bored. It's a solid hour and 45 minutes. The second one's 2.5 hours long, but even that movie, it's so action-packed. And this one's a freaking horror movie. I didn't realize that until rewatch just now. This is almost technically a horror slasher almost, except the slasher uses a shotgun, a machine gun, a pistol. It's basically a slasher, and it feels like a horror movie. You got, the teens having sex. And then this killer sneaks in. They hear a noise, and I love when there's like pop-up scares in this movie. There's no pop-up scare like sounds. That's today's thing. That's today's problem, and they need to cut that shit out. Even when you go back and you watch like Halloween 1978, when Sheriff Brackett scares Laurie, if that movie was made today, there would have been blah, like loud music behind it. But that's not in here. I love that. I love that this movie doesn't rely on cheap jump scares. But yeah, it just feels like a slasher. The woman's being hunted by this maniac who has no remorse, like Michael Myers. And you got a sex scene, you get some boobs. You don't really get too much gore, but the gore you do get is from Arnold when he's taking off his face and he's like dissecting his his arm open, the effects of that. But then you get like the final girl, Linda Hamilton. She becomes the final girl in the last like 5 minutes, and then she has like the one-liner that she says before she kills the villain, which is in a lot of horror movies. Like, you've been terminated, and she crushes him. Awesome, iconic line. This review is going to be me praising this movie because there's nothing bad to say about it, all right? It's just great. But let's just point out some dumb little stuff. Oh, speaking of Child's Play 2019, this is done by MGM/Orion Pictures. Coincidence? And then we got Michael Biehn, who steals a hobo's pants and he never replaces those pants. It's like, those pants had to stink. Man. Did you see a bright light, mister? Yep, I sure did. And then I love this scene where like Arnold, there's like this big burly guy at a phone booth and he takes him and just throws him aside. And the guy never like puts up a fight. He's just like, how dare you? And then walks away. It's like, really? I get it, Arnold's an intimidating presence, but that guy was just as tall and he was meaty. He didn't fight back at all. I was like, wow, okay. All right. I love the way they even like spread the exposition. All the explanations we get, it's not like force-fed to you all in one scene and at the very beginning or at the end. It's like sprinkled throughout. We get to keep learning more. It keeps like cutting back to like future events and how Kyle Reese got there and why no one else could come back. The thing got destroyed, the time machine. And we even get like references to the cabin that's going to be in part 5. I didn't realize that. She references like her mom who had a cabin on a lake. And then in part 5, I believe, if my memory is correct, we get to see that cabin. I also noticed in this movie there's a giant like gas truck that like explodes, and then that's the polar opposite of part 2, where at the end there's like that liquid nitrogen and it explodes and the bad guy turns into ice. So it's like the exact opposite of this one. I also found it interesting that these robots basically become Nazis. The backstory we get, like everyone in the future gets barcodes like tattooed on them, and they have to like work and like basically dispose bodies, and they just basically become concentration camp workers. So I was like, holy crap, this is a lot darker than I remember. This is a dark movie. I would classify this as like a sci-fi, barely sci-fi. It's only like sci-fi-ish when you go to that future stuff and you see like all the future wars going on, all the robots. But this is a very much thriller. Like, this is a almost horror thriller action. I would say it's like an action thriller. I wouldn't put it in my horror collection. I would put it in my action one. But the second movie, that's more sci-fi-ish. Just because the bad guy and what he does, it feels more sci-fi like. The second one's more of a sci-fi action movie. This one's a thriller action kind of sci-fi movie. It's up for debate. How do you see this movie? Do you think it's a horror movie? Do you think it's an action? Do you think it's sci-fi, thriller, all of them? It's a mixed bag. I feel like that also makes movies great. Like, all the great movies you love, I feel like they all have one thing in common, and that is that they are just a mixed bag of everything. Like comedy. There's even humor in this movie. Like I said, there's Lance Henriksen. I thought his character was funny, and his back and forth with the one officer, I forget his name, but just their back and forth. There's so many great moments in this movie, funny lines. Arnold, when he's like, I'll be back, and he just takes the car, just drives right through, shoots everybody up. It's like the end of Halloween 5, which was way after this. So Halloween 5 ripped this movie off. The guy, when he's like, it smells like a dead cat in here, and he has like a list of options of things he can say, and he picks like, fuck you, asshole. Oh, another thing I want to point out is, if you went into this movie blind in 1984 or 5, was it supposed to be a shocking reveal that Arnold was a robot? because it doesn't reveal him as a robot 100% until he gets shot at the club. Like when Kyle Reese shoots him with the shotgun a bunch and he just gets back up. I bet that was the moment where everyone's like, okay, there's something up with this guy. He ain't human. And if he ain't human, is Kyle Reese not human? So it's like, I wonder what the discussion was like back then. So yeah, when I was watching this, I was like, I wonder if that was supposed to be a twist. Did the trailers ruin that? If you saw a trailer back then, was it like, he's a robot Terminator? Because the movie's just called Terminator, and humans can be Terminators too. You can terminate. You know what I mean? Like, was it supposed to be a reveal? Because people nowadays, we all know, the secret's revealed. It's not like kind of like Psycho. When you go to watch the 1960 version, 99% of the population who hasn't seen it knows the ending. And 99% of people who haven't seen Terminator know Arnold's a robot. But yeah, just on this viewing, I was very curious about that. I was like, I wonder if that was a reveal. Because then after that, that's when you start seeing like his red robot vision, all the things that pop up. And it's so dark, no wonder he's a shitty aim. When he's like shooting at Kyle Reese and Linda Hamilton on the road throughout like the second half of the movie, he's always missing. It's like, you're a robot programmed with perfect aim, I thought. You suck. But then when you see his vision, you're like, oh, I get it. Everything's dark and red. But yeah, anyways, let's just cut this off right here. Let's just give this movie a rating and say that when it comes to The Terminator, this movie to me is a 80s action thriller masterpiece. And those are my thoughts on The Terminator. What did you think about this movie? Put your thoughts in the comments below. I will be reviewing every Terminator movie leading up to part 6 on November 1st. So look out for my other reviews coming within the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for those. Keep an eye out for my Maniac Cop 2 and 3 reviews. And many, many more Halloween rankings. I got a lot of shit lined up. But many of you probably don't know that because nobody's listening no more. I've been talking for too long. But if you are still here, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hit this like button, and you can become a subscriber if you haven't become one already just by clicking my cartoon face about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.